Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Card Dad. It's 20 minutes, although I doubt it's just going to be 20 minutes with Brian Gray today. He can talk 20 minutes with hobby legend Brian Gray. Brian, how you doing, man?
How are you doing, my man? You doing good?
I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of doing my thing, just a cog in the wheel. Just keep it going.
We all are. We're all just little pieces of a big machine now.
So speaking of the big machine, I feel like that's a good transition into the last time we talked, the $12.9 million modern basketball card sale, believe it or not, had not happened yet. And so that was the first thing on my mind, just to get your feedback, your overall thoughts. Did you see that coming, or were you a little bit surprised? And what does it mean to you, if anything? Before Brian answers, we have to say thanks to our video sponsor today, Magic Spoon Cereal. For me, I can't speak for you all, but for me, I have to live a low-carb lifestyle to keep my weight in check. The cereal has 13 to 14 grams of protein, high-protein cereal with zero sugar. It's the same great taste of the cereal when we were growing up, when we were kids, but with adult ingredients. We've got 16 plus flavors to work with here, guys. I've shared here a couple of my favorites, cocoa and frosted. There's also blueberry muffin and cinnamon toast. And you're probably thinking, I would love to try it out. Great taste and low carbs. How do I get some? How can I get a discount? Well, I have that discount for you, my friends. $5 off with the SCD promo code. I'll have links in the video description as well as in the pinned comments to take the $5 off. Also, I will have a floating QR code here somewhere that you can also click on to take advantage of the $5. Make sure to check out Magic Spoon Cereal today. And don't forget, they also have treats as well, bars and other things, other products that are fantastic. The video description and the pinned comments will have that promo code, $5 off SCD, ready for you.
Surprised at the number, not surprised conceptually at what happened, because we've had this whole shift into the grails. And the grails are everything. For me, and again, the beautiful thing about a grail is a moving target, and it's different for everybody. The universal grails are obviously all those Kobe, LeBron, Jordans, the iconic rookie cards. Those are obviously grails. For me, gold and green kabooms are grails. That's where I put most of my focus, is buying gold and green kabooms, and I bought some of the best ones in the world. But I think the shift into grails makes total sense, because in any category of collectibles, you have multiple levels of collectibles. You have the more fan-based, general, more easy to acquire collectibles that are just fun to collect. You have those items that are a little more rare and more exciting and a little harder to find. Then you have those things that are extraordinary. Whether it's G.I. Joes, which is a wonderful auction coming from Heritage of G.I. Joes if you collect this stuff, whatever it is you collect, you're going to find grails, you're going to find great middle range stuff, and you're going to find the lower end collectibles that borderline collectibles / fan driven items. And to see that separation here become more wide is normal. Go look at the art world. And that's where more and more I'm looking at cards as art. And I know some people don't, but if you think about it, these one-of-a-kinds and these number to fives and number to tens that aren't like there's 50 different number 101s, like the old company I own, who makes 150 101s of the same card. But no knock on them. It's just how it is. Yeah. And I did a little bit, not quite that much. But, it's not like that. They're truly unique pieces of art. Whether it's a green Kaboom Wembanyama that I paid $240,000 for at the National, because it's a true 101. It's the most extraordinary popular insert from Panini, and they're gone forever in 10 days.
I'm going to spin off of that real quick, because you had made a prediction, or not a prediction, but just a thought around Caitlin Clark and pregnancy, how that could affect her cards. She had a season-ending injury, and I was joking that, well, maybe Brian was right. Maybe she's actually pregnant. Maybe she's not even injured. She's pregnant. No, I'm kidding.
But I think she's injured. But you know what?
Yeah.
I told people on the podcast, and no one listens. All they heard was, what if Caitlin Clark gets pregnant? They didn't hear what I said at the end. Half people don't make it to the end. I realize the average person listens for 28 minutes, and I talk for 36. What I said at the end is, you understand, this whole thing's not about Caitlin Clark getting pregnant. It's about, have you been thinking about why you bought what you bought, if it's an investment or a speculation? Have you really been thinking about why you bought it and the possible risks and rewards associated with that? So the pregnancy was just an exercise, what if, because no one had thought about that. But things like injuries, things like growing frustrated with the fact that the league doesn't respect her,
yeah,
and they treat her like crap, Those are all factors where she could just hang it up anytime and say, screw you guys. And that's all I wanted people to do, is to think for themselves. And whether it's Caitlin Clark or whether it's Justin Herbert or whether it's Wembanyama, whoever it is, I want them to think about the risks, but be real. And don't just think about the obvious risks. Think about the risks you don't know what they mean.
Speaking about the NFL season just kickstarted, and just to your point right there, I mean, it was a little bit of a bloodbath, not necessarily season-ending injuries, but guys like Joe Burrow, 3 months out. Jaden Daniels, Hobby Darling, is out this coming game, I believe. And it just goes to show, like, it's always the same, no matter how much we try to spin, especially NFL players. I mean, it's just so hit or miss. You have guys that are on top of the world in the NFL, and 2 years later they're out of the league. I mean, it's wild.
I put out a short yesterday that's all over all the platforms where I said, if you bout quarterbacks going into the season, you have one job right now. If your guy isn't going to win the Super Bowl, you sell him today. Because every single quarterback that does not win the Super Bowl, unless some Purdy comes out of nowhere, which isn't going to happen this year, you sell every quarterback unless they are going to win the Super Bowl, which means you should only be holding 5 of them. There's only 5 quarterbacks you can really hold right now. You must sell every quarterback that's not going to win the Super Bowl. I don't have anything to gain. I'm holding no quarterbacks except maybe some Golden Green Kabooms. You sell every quarterback, and I've got some that are going to lose, so they're probably going to go down. Maybe not those cards, but other cards. You sell every quarterback that's not going to win. It's pretty simple formula. It happens every year. And it is a heartbreak when you lose Burrow, because this was the year that you saw a real bounce back coming.
Yeah.
But you just got to pivot and say, it's time to move on. I'll get to buy it back. I'll have another chance to buy it back cheaper. Just sell everything that's not bolted down, that has a real shot of winning it all, because that's the only thing that really appreciates is when Hurts wins it all. Yeah, he finally went up. Josh Allen's not going up if he wins another MVP. He's got to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
The good news, you can hold him because he might. But can you hold Brock Purdy? Can you hold Baker Mayfield? Can you hold? I don't know what people are specking on. Whatever they're specking. Can you hold Justin Herbert? Can he win?
Yeah. The problem is the opportunity cost. That's always the thing. It's like, yeah, you can sit on it for 6, 7, 8 months, or could you put that money somewhere else and maybe
and the fact that you may get killed if you sit on it. But if you have any good ideas at all, you've just got to weigh 2 things. Number one, you have a better idea. But number 2, my first piece of advice I give everyone is, every day you don't sell a card, you just bought the card. If someone offers you $10,000 for your Herbert and you don't sell it, you just bought that Herbert for $10,000. I don't care if you paid $2,000. You just bought it all over again for $10,000. And if you think like that, you're going to sell way more cards than you did than when you have this I bought it for $2,000 mentality. Your mentality will be, am I okay buying it for $10,000? Because guess what? I turned down $270,000 for the Wemby that I just bought for $240,000. I had to make a decision. Am I okay buying that card today for $270,000? Because if I don't think this guy's wired, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Great exercise. And that's my goal in the hobby now. It's just getting people to exercise their brains and think about what they're doing, why they're doing it, instead of just carrying around their little Pelican case with 2.4, 8.5, whatever it says on the holders, and just playing numbers games. I want them to think about the underlying reasons they do things. Because whether it's cards, stocks, art, crypto, whatever it is you buy, that process should be involved in anything you're buying as stored value, which trading cards are.
I like it. Okay, so I have a question, and this is going to be around, again, the high-end market. I want to give credit where I heard this. I believe it was Cage Lawyer, Hobby with Cage, that brought this up on one of his YouTube episodes. I thought it was interesting, though. So essentially it had to do with comps and repacks and how repacks can affect comps. And I might be getting the analogy wrong or kind of the example wrong that he said, but it was something to the effect of like a Lionel Messi card that had sold for, let's say, $15,000 to $20,000 previously. And I know there's a lot of different variables as to how a card can sell higher or lower off of a current price. But then he was saying essentially that card could then sell for $30,000 to a repacker, a high-end repacker, because they're okay spending up a little bit. Maybe that last comp was 20. They're okay spending 30 because the total take in maybe from the repack is 100, and that's their big chase or something like that. So I guess I wanted to get your opinion around, comps as it relates. Does it matter, I guess, if it's a repacker that buys it for a repack, or a collector that's going to hold it for 30 years, or a flipper, an individual that's going to buy it and sell it later? I just thought it was an interesting thought.
Yeah, I mean, if it sells in an auction house like Fanatics Live, Fanatics Collect, Golden, or Alt, for example, there was a bidder one step below. So generally, I put a lot of credence in those comps. Now, the other thing you have to remember is I know the repackers personally. Every one of the big repackers is a friend of mine. And a lot of them I actually sell stuff to weekly, or I buy stuff for them when they need it. But the fact is, they're not going to go out and pay double the value just to try to hit some value in a repack and to artificially make the value go up. If you're talking about Mega Cracks Messies, the reason that card's $30,000 is because when it sold for 17, a PSA 10 was 200,000, and a PSA 10 just sold for $1 million. The card's gone from 200,000 to $1 million in 3 months.
Maybe that was the card he was referencing.
And that's exactly the price. Like, the problem is we are so hypnotized that we forget that the underlying card has a certain value, whether it sold for that recently or not. Great example. 1 year ago in Burbank, I bought a gold Kaboom Tom Brady BGS 10. That card had come for $17,000 2 months before I bought it. I paid $24,000. I paid $7,000 over the comp because I said, if I don't buy this card, I will never own this card. And I'm right, this card should be $100,000. 1 year later, I turned down $36,000 for the card. Now, it was ballsy to pay $24,000 when it was $17,000, but the card was worth $24,000. PSA 10 had just sold for $22,000. So, like, you have to sometimes look, and I don't love when repackers make up comps based on what other things sell for to kind of justify what they put in their products at. Like, I don't approve of that. I really think they should buy comp cards when they can, because I think it's better to just be more transparent with the customer. And why have arguments and mystery when you don't have to? Like arguing over what is it really worth because it hadn't sold in 3 years. Fact is, cards are worth what they're worth. And I think if people, the biggest mistakes they make in the hobby, besides not selling soon enough and holding on to things thinking they'll go up forever, the biggest mistake they make is not paying enough for the best stuff. It's not making that one more bid when their grail comes up and they want it. If it were you, if it's Drew Brees, one of one, green Kaboom. You may not love green Kabooms, but like that is a card that I would die to own. He only has one. That's a huge card. That card should be $50,000. It probably is. It's probably 20, but it should be 50. If that card comes up, I'm not losing it for one bid. I'm paying whatever it takes to buy the card. I just bought the Shea Gilgis green for $100,000. This is only green Kaboom. There's no comps to justify it. I turned down 140 already, so I made a good buy, obviously. But I had to make up a number. My first offer was 50. That didn't get it done. So I just made up a number and paid 100 because I was like, I'm right. These are great. So sometimes you have to trust yourself and say, the comp doesn't matter. Because if you stuck to comps and said, I'm never paying above comps, you don't own any Messi, Mega Cracks. Ronaldo's about to sell for $500,000. You don't own one of those either. You don't own Star Jordan 101s in high grade because you never wanted to pay up for the high grades. Instead, you bought a BGS 6 because you never wanted to make that next bid. You got to have balls and make the next bid and just say some things you want to own. I'd rather see every collector sell their entire collection 10% too cheap and buy that one or two grails for 20% too much. And I guarantee they will come out financially better paying 20% too much for grails and selling everything else 10 or 20% too cheap. I guarantee the ledger will balance out in their favor.
I like it. All right, I'm going to shift off and we're going to move off into another topic here. And this one, so I want to make sure that I explain this properly, what I'm talking about. So what I'm hearing from traditional breakers, because I think this gets kind of mixed up because there's a lot of breakers that also do repacks. So, but what I'm talking about is a breaker that is breaking new product, or maybe they're breaking older product, but they're opening boxes of cards. This is not a repack product. I'm hearing more and more of those types of folks where it's becoming more slow on their end, or they're looking like maybe they should do singles. Maybe they should sell singles, or they should kind of diversify their business a little bit. And it very well could be that maybe there's a drought in new product or something. I don't know. I don't really live in that space, but what's your opinion on, I guess, traditional breakers? Do you think that, look, it's no secret that the reason why repacks are so popular is just because the return on money for folks that are getting into a flawless break or whatever it is. I'm just throwing something out there. They're just not feeling it. And so they'd rather just get into a repack where they're like, hey, at least I'm going to get 5 graded cards, or I'm going to get 1 huge graded card, or whatever it is. And so that's where repacks have been able to thrive. Do you think that just the traditional breaking company, or kind of those breakers, do you think that they're going to start to go away to some degree, or maybe it consolidates up into the Laytons and the Blezes of the world. I know that they're not struggling, so I want to make sure that
definitely they're not struggling. And honestly, most of the big repackers that are hybrids that are doing wax and repacks are doing very fine. The repacks actually, for some guys, at certain times, are the money loser. Because I watch breakers, and people think breakers make money on repacks every time. They are so wrong. I've watched the guys on Backyard lose 20K in a break, and they always cry. Everyone cries, "Oh, I'm losing, you're killing me," whatever. That's part of the shtick.
Yeah.
But I've watched them in repack breaks, lose 20, 30,000 on one break. I had one about 2 months ago where I lost $8,000 on one repack break. And I make the best repack out. I'm not shy to tell you. But I lost $8,000 because when you start things at $1, anything can happen. Sometimes you make 10,000, sometimes you lose 8. It's not this mystery of everyone makes money hand over fist in repacks because you're paying top dollar for the cards because there's so much competition to buy. And if the bids don't fall perfectly in line, you will lose money. So I will say, first off, there's no guarantee that if you sell repacks, you're the winner. But with that being said, even in wax, you're finding this shift with the guys that are playing the first off the line game, that are paying huge prices for the Panini first off the line. Yeah. Those breaks are making money hand over fist on whatnot. They just are.
Okay.
I think
I've wondered about that because I've heard like Panini will do a reverse Dutch auction on some product or whatever, and then it sells out at like $2,000 a box for the first off the line. And I'm like, man, either those breakers are losing money or they've paid enough to where they're like, okay, well, we'll make it up. We'll make it up.
That product, when I bought first off the line, I made money every time. It's been a no-brainer. And the thing is, especially if you can kind of time when the bottom's coming, and there are some tricky ways to do that behind the scenes, like sneaky, to figure out when the time's coming, when it's going to sell out. We're certainly not giving that secret away free. But with that being said, if you can figure out the right time to buy ish, you don't have to buy it perfectly, but ish. It feels like, and Panini's done some things like recently, if you look at Silhouette Basketball, first off the line had all these logo men and incredible, insane cards, and Hobby was a piece of crap. It's almost like, it's almost like they loaded up first off the line, so when people saw those, they'd go crazy, buy all the regular Silhouette, and then Hobby Silhouette was garbage. So you see this sometimes, even on first off the line Panini 1-in-1 basketball. I watched a case on Rip Hamilton last night that had 3 logo men in one box, in one case. Oof. And guess who? Guess who? LeBron, McCain, and Buzelis. 3 of the 5 biggest names you could ask for all had logo men in the same case. That's first off the line. So then I went and watched a 2-case break of 1-on-1 basketball that was not first off the line, and it was ugly. It was ugly.
So do you think customers are just saying
first off the line's loaded right now, and so people are starting to come around and say, hey, maybe it's worth paying more for first off the line.
It's well, and that's, I guess, my next question. Yeah, because obviously there's going to be certain, the average Joe hobbyist that's happy to buy a hobby box or whatever, or break. But do you think people that have the means, as opposed to them doing volume on like a hobby box break, like what you were just saying, or forget it, or just buying certain single cards, maybe now are they saying, hey, hell, we're just going to buy iconic cards. We're going like more like, let's just buy less volume and just buy better stuff, whether that's first off the line or better singles or whatever.
Investors and collectors are buying grails and the best cards they can buy. Gamblers and entertainment seekers are buying into breaks.
Yeah,
flawless
just for the
basketball. I don't care if you're a small breaker or a big breaker. If you have flawless basketball that comes out in a couple weeks, you're going to be fine. You're going to sell it all just fine. The guys who are breaking mosaic blasters, they're starting to realize that market is kind of tapping out. There's no barriers to entry. Anybody with a camera and $400 and $600 can buy a case of mosaic blasters and suddenly be a breaker. The barriers to entry is go try to get 5 cases of flawless. Yeah. That's the barrier to entry. But you got to be a real business to get 5 cases of flawless now. And so I think that's where you're seeing these guys struggling. And the fact is, if you watch Whatnot, as an example, the single streams are the best streams on the app. I get more eyeballs on single streams than I do on break streams. The biggest seller, Debut, gets over 1,000 people for every single card auction. It takes a lot for a breaker to get 300, 500 people in a room. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
They usually have 100 to 150 on the high end. Singles rooms can have 500, 300 just normally. So singles may be a route these guys, but again, it's like any business. You've just got to pivot to where opportunity lies, and there's an arbitrage opportunity. And right now, singles are where the opportunity is. And you'll see me running shows. I'm even running one tonight where you'll see me sell $20 cards, $50 cards, $8 cards, $38 cards. It doesn't really matter. There's demand for all these unusual cards in a fast-paced environment where you don't have to sit for a week and wait on eBay. In 10 seconds, it's over. You buy it, you have 10 seconds. It's frenzied bidding. It's a swipe. It's fun. You just so you make good decisions. You don't act like a dummy and just swipe no matter what. Just make sure it's close to what you want to pay. Don't be irresponsible. It's fun as heck. It really is fun to be an active live auction. And I think that's where the traction on Whatnot and the growth really can come, because there's an infinite amount of singles out there. There's only so much.
So for the average Joe, if the average Joe trying to start a business, then and it's like, starting a breaking company, probably tough. Starting a repack company could be tough, but from what I'm hearing from you, it's basically like, hey, if you're an entertaining singles seller, then you could get on one of these platforms and probably
it's hard. I mean, listen, there's a lot of room that has the rooms that have 4 people in them for a single show.
Sure.
Because you're either going to have to give away something awesome. You're going to have a personality that's extraordinary and do something crazy. I'm a little bit crazy on there. I sing and say things that people cannot believe their ears, but I've become kind of the Howard Stern of Whatnot. I got banned this week. I'm just coming out banned today because I put the envelope of the rules, but I don't care. If you don't want me, I'll go stream somewhere else. I'm like Howard Stern. I'll go stream somewhere else. I'm fine. They do want me. They even call and laugh about me breaking the rules because they think it's funny, but they're rules, so it is what it is. I'll take my punishment like a good boy and whatever. But it's just, I think you have to find some way to differentiate yourself. And that's not just streaming. It's like we talked about collecting. You differentiate yourself by owning the best. When you own the best, you're an elite collector. You don't have to have 50 best. You got to have one the best.
I think that's why, you've heard it over the last few years, a lot of people consolidating up. I rarely hear consolidating down into more volume. I rarely hear that.
In Burbank, I took a 100 card graded collection for one card. He traded 100 cards for one. And he was so tickled. I'm probably made 15, 20% on the deal, which is fair. And you know what? It's great for me because all those cards went to repackers, all gone. And he got a Grail card that he's like, I'm never selling. It was a LeBron Jordan Ultimate Dual Auto.
Oh,
$12,000 card. It's only $12,000 because he's in his high school jersey. LeBron, Jordan's in North Carolina, whatever. It was for that era where they were stuck in between.
But for most collectors,
that's a baby Grail. That's like the low end of what a Grail is, in my opinion.
Well, that's for me. That would be an MJ auto. For me, it would be, my wife went to UNC, so I'm perfectly fine getting a UNC Jordan auto. Yeah,
he made a great decision because he took a bunch of stuff that he can't even focus on anyway. Because how can you focus on 100 different players and graded cards at the same time? Never mind thousands. Portfolios that are tight and well managed and diversified, but still with a clear focus, are much easier to manage, much easier to watch. And frankly, you're always going to have something that other people want because it's the best of the best. You're not betting on Pete Alonso hitting 40 home runs next year. You're betting on the legacies of the greatest. You're betting on trading cards generally being a place for stored value. And I think it's a good bet.
Yeah, and the greats they have, especially the modern ones, if we're looking, Jordan's kind of not necessarily modern, but he's got some modern cards as well. But the Jordans, the Kobes, the LeBrons, the Tom Brady's, there's all sorts of great cards to chase for those guys. It's not like,
And again, Grail doesn't have to be Star 101 Jordan or 86, 87 Fleer.
Right.
There's stuff in between.
Yep, absolutely.
You want to go buy a second-year PSA 10. That is a Grail card for a lot of people. Some of the Upper Deck autographs are Grail cards. You can buy a Bulls autograph entry level like $12,000. That's a lot of money, but it's also, for a Grail card, that's pretty affordable Grail card. If it's truly a Grail, because in any other art world, a Grail is going to be 1 million plus. You're not buying a Grail for $100K. So think about that for a minute. So we're still very affordable. And that's what's crazy is I think this sell to Shine and that group, Shine and O'Leary and those guys, I think it's really indicative of where we're going.
Speaking of those guys, do you have a relationship with those guys, whether it's business or personal? Do you know?
I don't. Guys? I would love to have O'Leary on my podcast because, frankly, I'd like to pick his brain further about his.
I tried to. I don't
think I have some good connections, but at the end of the day, here's the thing: Shine has been very sharp the whole way, buying great stuff. And a couple of years ago, I was told I had a chance to buy, and I just didn't act fast enough. But he sold off all his garbage because he just said, "I'm buying the best." And whether you like the guy or not, or whatever you think about these people, and some of them have controversial personas in the industry, doesn't really matter. Their vision can still be correct whether you like them or not. And the vision is correct. I'm not going to give away my book, but I'm writing a book. It's 1 page. It's actually 2 pages. It's a title page I autograph and then 1 page. I can't find anyone who will publish a hardcover book with 2 pages. But we're trying to find that right now because it's that simple.
Well, it might have to be Big Bryce Publishing Company.
Well, no, but I want a nice, high-quality book. But I'm telling you, in 1 page, I can lead a horse to water and help him drink. It only takes 1 page. It doesn't have to be that complicated.
Love it. All right. Hey, Brian, we're doing so good on schedule. So we're at 24 minutes. We're doing great. I wanted to finish out with, the repack game. Just kind of a last thought there, just being the digital repack money is insane right now. When you look at, what the arena clubs and the courtyards and all these companies, I think Fanatics has got a power pack or something, or PSA, like everybody's got something coming. And then you've got physical repacks that you're working in and all that sort of stuff. Are you seeing any, we've heard, and I guess there's some murmurs of some news that's coming, not necessarily anything today to talk about, maybe on our next call, but anything that maybe like, people should look for in that space. Is there anything you can share?
Well, I think you're going to see a continued evolution of how we do repacks, how repacks are the most fair for consumers, how they're distributed, what's okay, what's not. How do we keep the low end? And most of the problems with repacks are lower end repackers who are just guys in the garage who take 4 cards in their collection, put them in a black box and put them on a screen. And they say the minimum value is $100 and you look at it, it's $21. And there's even a couple of big sellers who do garbage like that. That's what's going to have to change, I think, for sure. But I think everyone who's involved in this game is constantly reassessing the hows, the whys, and the whats we're doing to figure out if we're doing it, A, in a fair way for the consumer, B, we're doing it legally, C, we're being moral and ethical, D, can we do it profitably? Like, they're looking at all these things, and they want to make it a fun experience. Because at the end of the day, I helped invent the modern repack, which is like 1 graded card in a box. People make grab bags since the 60s. I will never take credit for that. I wasn't even alive. But I will take credit for buying graded cards and putting them 1 card, like this formula you see all over whatnot. I did it first in 2010. The vision was the products the manufacturers were putting out were garbage. So we wanted to give someone a way to get value and have an experience where anything could happen. When you open that box, it could be a Mantle, it could be a Jordan, it could be anything. And there was something special about the mystery of you're not just defined to okay, it's going to be Jaden Daniels, Drake May, these 4 rookies that everyone's chasing. We had the entire encyclopedia and volume of the world to put in there. And I think that's what we have to continue to work for, is creating that same magical experience where you just never know. And you could literally hit a life-changing card depending what your life is like, or you could hit a card that's just a PC card you might have never bought, but now you've been exposed to it. It's a fun way for this thing to go down. But we have to continue to evolve to make sure we're all doing it the right way, not just legally and morally and ethically, but for the customer and also to remain profitable. Because like I told you, some breakers don't even make money on the repacks anymore. It's a tough business. It's not as simple as people think.
Interesting. All right. Well,
I will say some of those numbers, you're talking about the digital, like Courtyard or Arena.
Yes.
The only public numbers are Courtyard. And I don't think I would trust those implicitly because I think it includes some other things.
Oh, okay.
Like some of the other things they do are in that number. I don't think those are pure. I don't think they're selling 80 million a month of repacks or some crazy ass number like that. I do not believe that's the number. That is horseshit. Sorry, that's just not the right number. I'll bet everything I own that is not a true repack number. There's other things in there that are the digital NFTs and these assets and whatever. But still, the model's phenomenal. I just always tell people don't trust everything you hear and only trust nothing you hear and half of what you see.
Yeah, the digital repack thing is going to be wild to watch because it's fairly new still. You have to believe there's going to be competitors coming. There has to be a lot. I mean, there's probably a lot of competitors that are going to come, and then there will be a few that survive. That'll probably be how it goes.
Have you opened any of these? Because they're actually fun. Like
I've watched it.
Spinning and popping open. It's kind of fun.
I watched a stream, and I swear I feel like 50% is really their marker because I watched a stream. And this is going back a year or something, but it was Arena Club, and they opened up like 10 in a row, and I swear it was just like $250 pack, $100 card, or $150. Like it was like right at 50. I feel like that was like most.
without divulging who, I have seen the numbers behind one of the repackers, and one of them works on razor thin margins relative because we're trying to grow the category. Without saying who it is, I think some of them, it may be margins like you're suggesting, but I think there's a few that are working on flat to negative margin to really make their repacks high quality. And you're going to see in the marketplace, the cream will rise to the top, the shaft will drop, and no matter how many ads you run on Facebook marketing or Facebook advertising, people will eventually see which products are good and which ones aren't. And I think people are smart enough to eventually discern and make judgments based on that. But you're right. It does feel like that sometimes. But as someone who's built those packs forever, that has to happen to pay for the monsters. To get 100x return on a card, you got to have 200 cards that are minus 50%.
It seems to me like the smartest thing that they have from a business standpoint is the immediate buyback, because then you're not constantly needing that additional inventory. If you're always, if you're basically like putting that same card back in a repack, yes, you're paying out for it, whatever it is, 70 or 80% or whatever the offer is, but it's just a continuous, like that piece of inventory is just kind of like being recycled around.
Well,
that's smart.
On the mundane stuff, I'm great with that. I will say on the big case hits, if they buy those back, I would like to see them sell them off at auction or somewhere. Because what I don't want to see is repacks become the same case hit over and over again. Some repackers on Whatnot do that, and it bothers the heck out of me. Like we even as a buyer of repacks sometimes, me and other guys will get on a group chat and say, I think they bought back that Joe Burrow gold vinyl from the guy that hit it 2 weeks ago. So when they run a 40 to 45K hit, and we know that's what it was last time, the Bengals are one of the 4 teams we know could hit because we know they bought it back because we know the guy that sold it back to them. So people have inside information like that where you can figure out, not that it's secret, but it's just they know that the card got bought back. And if repackers keep reusing the same cards, you get to where you really can kind of sometimes guess.
That's coming sometime.
I think especially if a breaker doesn't run 50Ks very often and they run them once a month and then they bought back a 50K, you're not shocked when it comes out again, are you? That happens sometimes. I would like to see them lay those off. The thing about the instant buyback, it provides incredible liquidity. And it allows consumers just to keep buying. And frankly, you can take $2,000 and sometimes open $5,000 to $10,000 packs before you run out of money. That's kind of cool. You can really open. Sometimes you can open. It's like a slot. It's like a slot. But you can spend $8,000 on $2,000 because you buy a $500 pack, you get $420 back. You buy a $500 pack, you get $625 back. You buy another one, you get $340 back. You might buy 10 packs and have a net move in your account of $500 or $800 one way or the other.
Well, what I didn't see was opening one of those packs is you buy a $500 pack and there's a $47 card in it. And I think I did not see that. And the reason why that's important is because that's basically a lot of times a hobby box. You buy a hobby box for $500, you might get $50 out of it. I mean, maybe get more, but but that's, again, I think that's why this space.
That happens way too often. And again, it's not the manufacturer. It's kind of the manufacturer's fault, but it's kind of not. There's some other fact. The marketplace running the prices up doesn't make it easier. Like on Flawless, when a box costs $3,000 or $4,000 direct, and people run it up to $12,000, that product was never built to be worth $12,000.
Right. Yeah.
It was built to be worth $4,000 to $6,000. So you're gonna have a massive negative when you break a box that's been triple cost because it was never meant to be that. So it's kind of tricky. But anyway, we used our 20 minutes, but I think it's good use. And next time I know we're going to have some more fun.
Well, hey, dude, you're always a big draw, so I appreciate you coming on. Make sure to go to Big Bry, the Deal Guy, the podcast on YouTube. It's a podcast, but it's on YouTube. And then where can they find you on Whatnot?
Whatnot is Big Bry, the Deal Guy. Whatnot is Big Bry, the Deal Guy.
Okay.
We're going to be adding TikTok soon because TikTok shop is growing fast.
And I heard that Trump is going to make that thing not go away, apparently.
It sounds like it, but I heard a rumor that Labubu, the company that makes Labubus, they're selling 50+ million a month on TikTok.
Oh my Lord.
So if I'm telling you, that could be the next that could really be an untapped marketplace for sure. So I'll be entering there soon. But find me on social, Big Bry the Deal Guy, podcast on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Big Bry No Holds Barred. And we really don't hold any bars. We go. We say what we got to say, and if you don't like it, guess what?
Make sure to check out Magic Spoon cereal today. And don't forget, they also have treats as well, bars and other things, other products that are fantastic.
See ya.
You're out.
You have to listen, baby. Let's go.
All right, buddy. Well, hey,
Love you, buddy. You do a great job.
Thank you. We'll see you again next month.
Thanks, man. Catch you then, buddy.
All right. See ya.